can remember when there was about 1,300 people here, and we'd say, someone asked where somebody was, well, they must live over in Brookside. And you'd direct them.
You're over by Excelsior, right?
Right. But like I said, we never got over there. The furthest I got would be to the Congregational Church, which I walked to church from our.
Yeah. The city, St. Louis Park was small. Everybody knew everybody else.
And I stop and think, our neighborhood was small because we didn't have any transportation, only streetcar and walking. Years ago, it wasn't until probably 1935 or 6 that we had a car to get around in, and it was all public transportation, and it was amazing how well we did do.
I was born on what is now Pennsylvania Avenue in St. Louis Park. At that time, I don't think there was a name of the street. No, because we didn't have any then to speak of.
Well, there were a few of them had names.
Few of them, but not very many. And
It was kind of scattered. There was a settlement over on Brookside, and that was one settlement. Then there was one time in the central of the park here. Then we went down by Fern Hill area.
What
And
in between these areas? Open space?
just open spaces, yeah.
The park is sort of divided up into sections. It was called Oak Hill, then they had Lake Street, and Fern Hill,
North Side.
and North Side, and Brookside, see? So it was all
mixed.
sort of divided up in different sections.
You know who lived in Oak Hill, you know who lived in Fern Hill, you know who lived in Brookside? Not too much of the North Side people, but...
St. Louis Park is funny. They never had a central area like Hopkins or Excelsior.
Park never had any what we'd call a big hub. Hamilton's over there by and Reese's. That was
the waiting station.
Waiting station, and the streetcars turned around there.
Turn around there.
Is it a turntable?
Yeah.
No,
Don't they
made
went
a Y.
in, made a
pulled
Y.
up and backed up.
Yeah.
And Hamilton's, and then of course the Masons and the Oddfellows had their lodge meetings there. And across the street there was a
Butcher shop.
Butcher shop.
And Doc Brown's.
Doc Brown's barber shop.
We never really had a main downtown. We'd always go uptown, and then they'd say we're going uptown, and that would be Lake and Hennepin. Downtown would be all the way down. But if you're going to go to the store, it usually meant you're going to Hamilton's.
And that was on Walker Street.
One of the big events was always the Fireman's Carnival when we were, you know, in high school every summer.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
Big deal for us to go to.
Well, the band used to play every week at the little, where the depot is now, at Jorvik Park, which wasn't Jorvik Park then. They had a little bandstand up there, and they used to play every week there. And that used to be a place to go. You could get ice cream cone and hot dogs and I don't know what else there.
And the band played, and culmination with the Fireman's Carnival until St. Louis Park got too big, the carnival got too big. And then they moved it down where the parking lot is now, Minnesota Rubber. Then it got too big for that, so that was a lot of fun.
I went to a first grade school that was up around North Street. It was a funny old building.
Now, what would North Street have been?
Well, over in Oak Hill, where I grew up, in Oak Hill.
There's two streets that run parallel to the railroad. The one furthest from the railroad is north, one next to the railroad is south, so there's North and South Street that ran east and west.
Are they still there?
Yeah?
Yeah, north and south, but the building I went to school in, no, but I went there, I think, 3 years, and then we built a new Oak Hill school, which is now torn down. And I spent the rest of the 4th, 5th, and 6th there, and then came up to what is now Central High. That was our high school. And
Our high school isn't there anymore.
No, it's all redone, but it was up there in that spot.
For a while, Central Junior High.
Yes, and then we were, all the grades were in one big assembly room.
Yeah, from 7 to 12.
7 to 12.
Where did you go to school?
First, I went down to Fern Hill, and that's located, that's torn down now. I walked from...
Where was that?
right there on Ottawa and Minnetonka Boulevard, where that a nice apartment building is now.
And then they moved it down the street on 28th and,
Then they rebuilt.
yeah.
Oddly enough, I had an uncle who was still living that worked on the construction of the new school, of Fern Hill School, which I went to, and I also saw it torn down.
Huh.
So that was quite a, you could see it, of course that isn't as bad as the new Oak Hill School where Montgomery Ward is. They tore that down, you know, that was a beautiful school.
That's right. I vaguely remember that now. Yeah.
And then there was Elliott School on Cedar Lake Road. That was just a
Yes.
4-room schoolhouse.
And then the senior high was Central Junior High for a long
Central
time.
Junior High. And then I remember when Lenox was built, and I went to 6th grade there. That was the first year that it was. I had 6th grade. Of course, she had 5th and 6th grade in the same room. That was sort of unheard of now.
It is, yeah.
I graduated from the old Lincoln building before they built a new high school. And the municipal skating rink was where Highway 7 is right now before they built Highway 7. That was the old high school football field and the wintertime skating rink.
That was right out front, right?
Right in front of the now defunct senior high.
Lincoln was located where?
On what is now 37th and Alabama, where Minnesota River has some of their buildings.
And that was a grade school.
It was a grade school, it was a high school first, and then it was, when the high school was built in 1914, then it was solely a grade school.
Did all of the kids in St. Louis Park go to that one grade school then?
No, some from Brookside came over, and there was the Elliott School, or it was
the
called
North
the
Side.
North Side School. And then there was Oak Hill and Fern Hill. We didn't have Ethel Baston or any of those at the time.
There was Hamilton's up there who delivered, and I can remember the saddle tanks that they had on for kerosene. Now they were a little bit more expensive, so that's why my dad bought downtown.
Would you call them and then they would deliver?
Yes.
Place an order.
You'd call them, place an order. And then you charged it, and they had those little books.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
then and payday you'd go up and pay the bill, and then they would always give you a little bag of candy. I don't recall Swenson and Redeem. That was a meat market right across from Hilton's. I don't think they delivered.
And they were up on West Lake Street, right?
Yes, on Walker Street. I can remember during the Depression years of going and asking for dog bones, and the dogs never got the bones, except after we had the soup off them.
And there were 3 principal large grocery stores in St. Louis Park. There was Charlie Hamilton over there on Walker Street. And Charlie Hamilton had groceries and then had a dry goods store next to it. And across the street was Swenson and Redeem Butcher Shop. Now, on the corner next to the railroad tracks was Doc Brown's barber shop, and he had a pool hall in back there. As a matter of fact, Doc Brown's daughter, Ann, is still living out here in St. Louis Park. The other big grocery store was John Freeland over there by the old Lincoln building in the center of Park,
Where was the Lincoln building?
where the rubber plant is now.
Oh, that's where the old high school was.
Yeah, that's the original school house in St. Louis Park, the old Lincoln building.
Hamilton's
2 or 3.
and
wasn't it?
Freeland's, and that's all.
Freeland's. And then Sheeny Louie's down at the
Oh, yeah, well,
Lake Street. That was a
we
little store
never-
on Salem and Lake
we never
Street.
dealt there, though. The only one we ever dealt
Yeah,
with was
he was
Hamilton's.
headed
They
this sort of
delivered. They delivered. You
confectionery
could
store.
order. They delivered.
They used to deliver all the time.
And then,
Call them and give them your
yes,
Yeah.
and then they delivered.
course and part.
Eh,
No, I
Well, yeah,
don't
well-
recall. They had little trucks when,
didn't-
as far
they
as I
must-
can remember.
No. We, I know you used to charge your groceries and then pay them up.
At the end of the month.
Yeah, and I still have one dish that I think my mother got from paying the bill, you know, that I have on the wall.
Well, Hamilton's grocery store, Swenson Redeem Meat Market, Freeland's grocery store, and then there were a couple of them in the Brookside areas over on South Shore Boulevard. And then there was the Fern Hill Grocery in Berkwood. Sheeny Louie, like he liked to be called to his friends, had the store on Salem. And so that was about the extent of our grocery stores.
Was that?
And I'd go to the store and, on the corner of Minnetonka Boulevard in Dakota, where Beek's Pizza is now, used to be Moss Grip's Grocery. Walk over there and get a cake of yeast for 3 cents. And then I walk up to, want meat, we're up to Swenson Redeem Butcher Shop and get a pound of hamburger mixed with pork. And they got a bone for the dog. My mother makes soup for 3 days off the bone for the dog.
He used to bring the groceries home in these heavy bags, you know, and my thrill was to be able to meet him at the streetcar because, and with a wagon, and bring them home.
Where would he get the groceries?
The Great Northern Market or Witt's downtown on 6th and Hennepin.
Oh, really? You'd carry the groceries that far on a streetcar?
Oh, sure.
How long would that take? The ride?
Oh, 30 minutes.
It's like the bus ride now.
Mhm.
About 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah,
What was the route on the streetcar?
Right up Hennepin Avenue to Lagoon, and then out Lagoon to France Avenue, and that's where your first fare was. Yeah, the old Charlie, the conductor, you'd say, France Avenue, first fare eliminated.
Yeah.
So in other words, from then on, you had to pay another nickel to ride from France Avenue out to the end of the line to Reese's.
We'd take a streetcar downtown and down Lake of Hennepin. And a streetcar came out that made the Y up there at Reese's. And back in those days, like I said, money was tight, so I would walk from France Avenue, the city limits, home because I didn't have the nickel. To cost an extra nickel from France Avenue out to St. Louis Park, and I didn't have the nickel. So I walked home. And my dad walked home many times too.
And if we could talk some money out of our parents, we'd take streetcar and go downtown to a movie, which was a big deal.
Daytime matinees?
And like on a Sunday or something, it took a whole $1 to get the streetcar fare and the price of
Well, the streetcar fare was 11 cents one
Yeah.
way.
You got on the streetcar and you put your nickel and your token or your nickel and your dime and you went all the way downtown. You got off wherever you wanted to, but then when you got on downtown, you put in your dime or your token, and then when you came out here, you put a nickel in when you got off.
At France Avenue.
Yeah, it was after France. And then it really wasn't France either. They closed the city limits. And it was one block this side of France. Well, I should say the west side of France.
Did you oftentimes take the streetcar up to the uptown area, Hennepin Lake, and
Yes.
see movies and...
The Uptown Theater. We walked a lot though. That was only, what, 3.5 miles, something like that.
Is it? How long would it take you?
About 45 minutes.
Huh.
We used to walk to Hopkins, the railroad tracks would take us about 45 minutes. On a Sunday afternoon, we didn't have anything to do. Walk to Hopkins and back again, just for the excitement.
Of course, that's 29 now, but I go back to 26, and I can remember when the streets were plowed with horses. I can remember when they blacktop Minnetonka Boulevard or oiled it. It was quite a deal.
Well, what did the oil do? Just keep the dust down?
Mm-hmm. That was a method of Minneapolis employed for years. Every summer they would just scarify it, they call it. They put these teeth that go along and rough it all up and then mix it with oil and roll it. And
Now, didn't they get kind of messy?
Oh,
Trying to
yes.
get into the house and all of
the oil on the cars, you know, gee. It just,
Yeah, they didn't oil the side streets like Florida Avenue or 31st. It was just the main thoroughfares. And for many years, the street between our house and Boulevard was just a dirt road, and if it rained, why, a friend of ours came out to visit one time, started raining, and pushed his old Hupmobile all the way out to the Minnetonka Boulevard to get him going. Oh yeah, it was paid. We sat there in the front porch and watched the cars go back and forth out to Lake Minnetonka. That was before they had Highway 7. So the three main routes, it was Superior Boulevard, which is now called Wayzata Boulevard. It was Minnetonka Boulevard and Seltzer Boulevard. There were three main routes out to Lake Minnetonka. Number 7 was not built. And of course, the belt line was unheard of at that point in time. The belt line? Oh, golly. It was probably late 40s, early 50s. because we'd go out, my wife and I would drive out and go out 78th Street, and when they started to build out there, we'd say, good God, who wants to drive way out here at 78th Street out in the country? But now it's, not only that, but when Carol and I were, first bought a house in 1955, we both worked in town, so I'd pick her up, we'd drive out Wiser Boulevard to Highway 100, and come 100 out here, 'cause I lived over here in 33357 Alabama. And so we hit Minnetonka Boulevard, or hit Highway 100, and Carol, my wife, would say, oh God, I hope the car don't die. If the car dies here, nobody'd see us here. There's nobody out here. And that was a deserted land, Highway 100.
I think it'd be interesting to know that dam patch. I don't think you mentioned that. You were surprised, but how that ran from downtown Minneapolis, and it was a diesel electric train, and it carried passengers and freight. It was just a one car, one.
And what tracks did it run on?
The Northfield and Southern track there.
The ones right up here by
Mm-hmm.
the old library and Brunswick.
Yes, it cuts across the park.
Right.
It's the Sioux Line Railroad now, but it was a dam patch running to Savage.
Now, what would you do in Savage?
You wouldn't do anything except that was the racetrack down there. People used to go out to the racetrack. Dam Patch was a famous horse.
I did. I saw Dan Patch. We went out to Savage once,
I never know.
and I saw Dan Patch.
Pretty horse?
Yeah. It was quite a thing then.
Yeah. Well, on our house on 31st and Florida had a front porch. And we sat on the front porch, and it was wide open all the way down to the railroad track there. And if we had a especially stormy night, a real lightning type thing, we'd watch a lightning dance and strike the high tension lines along the railroad track. And we watched the Dan Patch run back and forth.
But it has changed. Like Charles said, Dakota Avenue, which is quite a nice street now, she can remember as being just sort of like a trail, you know. But now, oddly enough, I can remember Minnetonka Boulevard with always having sidewalk there. I think it always had sidewalk. Probably some of that sidewalk is still there today. And Nels Peterson had cows on Alabama, on the south side of Minnetonka Boulevard, between Alabama and the railroad tracks. That house is sort of flat. That's a barn that's been turned around and converted to a house. There was so much vacant land, you didn't need a park. You played in the streets, and the streets were dirt. And I remember when electricity came out. See, there's a railway, Northfield and Southern Railway tracks right in front of us on Brunswick there, on Grant. Okay. First thing we got was a street light, and us kids would stay out there and play under that street light until the parents brought us in. It was such a thrill to have a street light.
Inside playing at night.
Yeah.
We used to play on the sandlot ball on the vacant lots, and this was a park, of course, where we had the ice cream social every Friday night.
Well, I used to make pushmobiles. Well, well, I'll tell you, in the old days, the dumps were great. You go to the dump and you find a lot of good things in the dumps. And we go out and through the dumps and we find, well, like buggy wheels, from a buggy or something. You take the wheels and we make a pushmobile out of them. You get a board and put wheels in front, steer it, and wheels in back, and then try to build a hood on it, and then we modernized it by putting steering mechanism, which was a broom pole down and ropes around it, and try to steer it that way. And
Before you had a bicycle?
yeah, and when they built our street, we had the only street on Florida Avenue with a sidewalk between 31st and 32nd Street. So we all go up there and ride down there in our pushmobiles, chugs, call them.
Oh yeah, when we were small kids, we went down to Mosquito Points. I mean, one thing I'll never forget, we used to go skinny dipping there, of course. And there was some people from Oak Hill, where she lived, there was just across the tracks, and there was a nice bank along Mosquito Point, and they came and brought their lunch. And we were in there without any clothes on. So, and then our clothes was right in back of them, so there was no way to get in. We were all pretty water soaked by that time. So my kid brother, he went through the grass somehow, and he got his, and he put his on. Then he took ours, went it down to the old railroad bridge, and then we got dressed and got out of there. That was...
Where is Mosquito Point?
Well, it's not there anymore. The old creek used to make a bend, and it was a little deeper there, maybe about 5-6 feet. That's about as deep as it was.
Minnehaha Creek.
Yeah. Then just beyond that a little further was another bend, and they used to call that the mud hole. That's where the older kids went swimming.
Huh.
So, no, they've changed that considerable down there. They took the tracks out, straightened it out.
How about swimming? Where did you go to swim around here?
Or down, if we walked to Lake Calhoun from here, or we'd go down the creek. I wasn't allowed to go in the creeks unless my brother was there, so I'd go waiting, and the kids would say, "Marie, your brother's coming." I'd get out, but my clothes were all wet anyway, so they knew I was there. So that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, or kitten ball took a lot of our time.
What was kitten ball?
Well, they call it softball now, but it was kitten ball. I have several of them. And the softball, play with indoors. Because we played, heat was nothing in those days. We just kept on going. We got tired, we went and took a nap and went back outside and played.
Games? What kind of games?
Well, in the evening we used to play, what did we play? It's been so long ago, I can't remember. Oh, we played hopscotch and we played jacks. We played ball, pump pull away, tag, Indy over. We used to throw the balls over the houses.
We'd go out fishing out at Shady Oak Lake, and we were swimming out there too. Then we used to swim out at Medicine Lake quite a bit.
Now that was a drive out there.
Yeah, but it was long. You walk out a block before you get up to your knees. And they used to go out to Lake Minnetonka, fishing at Lake Minnetonka.
Did the park have many park areas? Sales Park have park areas?
No, not in those days.
No park is
Something new. Those parks are new, yeah.
nice.
Main park was actually the center out there where they had the bandstand. That was probably one of the only main park we had.
So what did you and your brother and sister do to play when you were little kids?
Well, neighbor kids would get together and go up to their house or on our house and so on. Winter time, we'd go up there and play in the house with their toys and play games.
You said you skied.
Well, yeah, but this one brought the horses out. There was a good-sized hill between, well, Hampshire and Florida. And between Hampshire and Georgia was a real steep hill coming down. Before they cut that down, we used to slide there, ski down that hill, slide down there. And you could do that because you could see all the way around and never worry about cars because there weren't any cars out here.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it was wide open.
In the winter, did you skate and ski?
Skated. I went on a pair of skis, and I didn't go very far, and down I went, and I haven't been on a pair of skis since. But skating, I did a lot of skating. Our skating rink was where Highway 7 goes in front of the Central Community building, and then it was up the football field where the football field is now, and also by the school, where the high school is now. Well, so I'm changing the schools from one thing to another. It's confusing at times.
But it has changed.